this would be kind of your long-term bullish case, right? You have this big cup, you have the handle here, and what you typically see after that is actually a move upwards, right? You can have inverse cup and handles, etc. We see them all the time in technical trading. The thing about that is what that doesn't tell you is what's going to happen in the short term, right?
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Wagmi TV. We have a good one for you guys today. We're doing Aerodrome Finance. We're going to talk through some of the charts and the latest updates on the price action, as well as where are the best places to look out for to get good stablecoin yield, as well as some of the pools to actually be aware of in terms of the danger of them. So we definitely want to make sure that we get you guys updated on that. But again, this is not financial advice, entertainment purposes only. But with that being said, we're going to turn it over to Mata for a recap on the charts.
Yeah, definitely. Let's dive in. Definitely been a crazy day today in the stock market and in crypto. Seems like we're going to be seeing a lot of chop out of Bitcoin for, an unforeseen period of time here moving forward. So what that typically means for alts is that they're bleeding a little bit against Bitcoin. So we definitely wanted to check back in with Aerodrome specifically. I know we had done a video prior to the end of the year where we were talking about these two green lines, these two green intersecting lines. So the all-time high through another high point here, which we broke above. Then we saw the double top. We saw this actually move down exactly like we were thinking. It did come down into this support here at $1.29, basically almost $1.30. And it bounced off of that very nicely, but we're once again seeing it roll over a little bit here. So just wanted to give you a little bit of an update on what we're seeing. Of course, we did see a little bit of support as we had thought we would. We never confirmed below this level, but we're starting to break some of these areas, and obviously those supports are getting tested pretty hard. So we're going to start with the bearish stuff, and then we're going to take a little bit of a bullish lens to this as well, just so you can kind of see both sides of what we're looking at. So from the short-term perspective, right, we saw that double top, we saw the move down. What we're actually seeing here is a little bit of bearish consolidation, it seems, right? Obviously, there's just kind of inside bar chop between this area. We're seeing it continue to test these areas as support, which typically, right, if you continue to test something, eventually it'll break. Sometimes it's the resistance, sometimes it's the support. In this case, right, it's the support area. So one bearish signal, we're seeing a little bit of that kind of bearish consolidation or bear flag movement here in this chart. The other thing I wanted to kind of highlight for us is really since September of last year, we've been on a pretty awesome up run. Same with the rest of crypto, right? I think AERO saw a lot of new volume. A lot of people were very excited about crypto, etc. What we did see recently is it's this blue line here. So what we saw is that we continued to bounce off of this, and then eventually, right, we actually broke down from that. What we did see from this support level was a retrace back to what we call the scene of the crime there. So it actually went back up, hit this blue line, and now it's rolling over again. So another little bit of a bearish signal on top of that bear flag that's forming on a longer time period. So some areas we would be potentially looking to is, of course, hopefully keeping this as support and finding a way to actually bounce higher here. But if this does continue that bearish trend from a probabilities perspective, we'd be looking back down to that area about that dollar-ish range, $1 to $1.02, same area that we've been talking about for a very, very long time here on this channel. So that's kind of the areas we're looking at from a bearish perspective. From the bullish side of things, of course, right, this is support until proven otherwise, right? So it's always going to continue to hold until it doesn't, right? So we have to assume that it's support until it actually breaks that. The other thing I wanted to mention is from a more long-term perspective, right? Because I know we have a lot of fundamental folks here, folks that are in Aerodrome for a long period of time. If we actually go over to the weekly here, what you'll see is what they call a cup and handle pattern, right? So you see kind of this double top that it came into. It's obviously pulling off of that, but we're seeing kind of the cup here and then the handle forming as well. So the case could be made that this is a longer term cup and handle. That doesn't mean that it can't go down a little bit further here, but eventually we want to see this, of course, break out above both of these highs, and of course that 237-ish all-time high that we saw back in April of 2024. So that's kind of both sides of this thing. Definitely be careful out there. It's all going to depend on what Bitcoin's doing. And again, I think it seems like we're going to be seeing a little bit of a chop from Bitcoin here, at least for the next couple of days, if not couple of weeks. So that's what I'm seeing.
And Mata, what would you say
Yeah.
that cup and handle would tell you from the chart? Is that bullish, bearish? Where does that lean for you?
Yeah, so the cup and handle would be bullish, right? And again, that's a little bit more long term. So if I just actually pull this back up for you, this would be kind of your long term bullish case, right? You have this big cup, you have the handle here, and what you typically see after that is actually a move upwards, right? You can have inverse cup and handles, etc. We see them all the time in technical trading. The thing about that is what that doesn't tell you is what's going to happen in the short term, right? So this handle could be a little bit longer, right? Like we could even see a 23, 24, etc. percent drawdown and still hold that cup and handle pattern. So it's more of a long-term viewpoint for this, but definitely something to keep an eye out if you're kind of a long-term holder of the AERO token.
Yeah, yeah, that's great analysis. And to jump into more of the protocol specific metrics, something we covered on one of our previous AERO episodes was the fact that AERO had moved into the AERO Fed phase, where the VE AERO lockers were getting to vote on whether the protocol would increase emissions or decrease emissions by, I think it was like 0.01% or 0.1% every epoch. And so that was 5 weeks ago, so 5 epochs ago. And if you were to look at 67 here, the initial vote was a small increase in the emissions. And then what we've seen from there is just further decreases like we've been seeing for really the past year, looking at, the previous history of the AERO emissions here. So looks like we're continuing to move on the same pattern here, which, I think is healthy for the protocol. And we're really starting to see the fees. Let's see if I can scroll up here. The fees within the protocol are continuing to increase and are on a nice trend here. So still super healthy from a fundamental standpoint of how much are people using this, where are the fees coming from. It's a lot of slipstream here. So, that's great to see that people are getting, really accurate swaps with the concentrated liquidity pools that are on the platform. The next thing I wanted to show was around some of the stablecoin yields that we're seeing on the platform. And we're still seeing super high stablecoin yields, upwards of 22% here in this MSUSD USDC pool. So that's a metronome protocol pool there. But one thing I also wanted to talk about here real quick was some of these tokens where it's very important that you guys are doing some research and due diligence on the type of stablecoin pools that you're entering into. So I wanted to look at this token here, and down here at the bottom, USDZ. So those are the two tokens that I'll be showing real quick here. And what I want to just pay attention to here is essentially somewhat of a DPEG with this USDZ token. So this is the 1 year chart here on CoinMarketCap for USDZ, and we're starting to see it move downwards from having a decently healthy peg earlier in the year to now twice hitting a 96 cent value, and it's currently right around 97. So make sure you're being careful entering into any pools around that. You most likely want to avoid that, so one of your coins doesn't get devalued when you're entering. And this is the other one, this is one that's been super choppy over the last year. And so you're going to want to watch out for any pools that are involved in this, because, you could easily see, during certain weeks, your value or the amount of money that you put into that pool decrease pretty quickly. It does pop up to $1. So let's say you were already in a my pool, I wouldn't be surprised to see it, pop up there back to $1 and you can get out. But, definitely something that you want to be avoiding when looking at which stablecoin pools you want to enter into.
100%. I think like the coolest thing about Aerodrome is you're able to kind of express a lot of different views. If you're bullish on the market, you can buy the token. So we obviously always cover the charts and stuff for you guys. if you've, been involved in this crazy run up that we've had over the last couple of months and secured some profits, Aerodrome also ends up being a really, really great place in DeFi to park those stable coins. I mean, you're seeing yields. Obviously, you have to, pay attention to the stuff Ev just pointed out in terms of um, which pools you're entering and are those stable coins actually remaining to peg and stuff like that. But even within the fairly safe stablecoin pools, you're seeing yields that far outpace your high yield savings accounts and things in traditional finance. So a lot of exciting stuff going on in the ecosystem, and whatever your viewpoint is on the market right now, if you want to take a more conservative angle, there's always opportunities there on Aerodrome's platform. If you want to take a more risk on point of view, there's also tons of opportunity there with the Aero token itself and trading that. So yeah, that's kind of my thought on the whole thing so far.
Yeah, I think great points, and I think it's such a good point to bring up, Ev, of kind of being wary of particular pools. I think especially in the last two runs, liquidity providing has gotten, even though the on-ramp has become easier, the actual complexity and the amount of options is really upped. It used to be, hey, let's just go on Uniswap and provide some liquidity in an ETH pool, and now it's like you can provide liquidity on 4 or 5 different chains, different pairs, all that good stuff. So I think that's really, really important to understand. And so I think that's a great point from the perspective of being able to play both sides of the market. And if you're bullish on the base network just as a chain, I think that Aerodrome is the place to be. I mean, we already see Slipstream with over 755 million in TVL, V1 Aero with 600 plus million in TVL. So this is catching on really, really fast, and it almost has like a Solana effect from last run. So this is definitely the place to be from a base network perspective if you're bullish on it. And obviously, we'll continue to keep covering Aerodrome. Well, hey guys, appreciate you tuning in. Again, this is not financial advice, but if you found it helpful, like, comment, subscribe, and let us know in the comments kind of how you're playing the market. I think this is a very interesting time where we're starting to see some initial drawdown from the 108K high on Bitcoin. So it's starting to have some ramifications in other areas in the market. And I think people are looking to make different decisions and kind of put their funds in different areas and kind of see what the Fed dictates from here. So we'd love to see what you guys are thinking in the comments, and let us know if there's something specific you guys would like to see. But again, like, comment, subscribe if you guys found this helpful. And until next week, Wagmi.